Review time. Fuck. Alright, so. Oh god. I'm gonna tell you right now. With the narrative and the overall atmosphere of gameplay in this game, I'm honestly thinking right now, of all the games I've played a lot of games in my life. Of all the games I can think of, this game has the bleakest ending of any I've ever played. That I can think of right now. Maybe that I can think of. When you take the story, the gameplay, the whole lore, the whole deal into account, this had the bleakest ending I've ever played of any game. It also had that one shitty decision of straight up ending humanity through assisted suicide. That shit is fucked. In fact, you know what? This, as far as I can think of right now, in all media, video games, movies, TV shows, this has the second bleakest ending I've ever seen or played. The only ending that beats it is a cartoon on Netflix called Devilman Crybaby. I saw that cartoon on recommendation from someone else. It was alright. It's like a 10-episode show, so it's not like it's a hard watch. But that show has the bleakest fucking ending I've ever experienced in any media ever. This one comes in at number 2. Holy shit. Let's see though. As far as the actual game goes, honestly, I don't even really know what to say. Mostly just because a lot of what I would say would be redundant, because I've already explained my thoughts on a lot of things. Like the only two. Hang on. What? What? Well, while I'm here, let me do my review while I'm here. That way, if I have any more thoughts after this, I can just do it quickly. So, my main 2 issues with it were... Actually, there's another issue I have with it, is the load. This game has horrendous loading screens. But the lack of maps on the ocean floor. Here's one thing too. Although I can't even really count this against the game anymore. Because I actually went back and looked at some video footage of other people playing the game, the same parts that I did, previously already. And they figured this shit out way easier and faster than I did. So I guess this is my own ineptitude. So I can't really blame the game for that per se. Everyone else figured that shit out. As far as the ocean floor goes. It borrowed some elements from other games, like Alien Isolation, Outlast, and OG Resident Evil 3. The puzzles were honestly really good. I did have some struggle with some of the puzzles, particularly on what to do and where to go. Because like I said earlier, like a long time ago, it's like there'll be a room full of a bunch of shit and there'll be one thumbtack on a corkboard, and that thumbtack is what you need to interact with in order to make things work. Now, as I got used to the game, though, I started exploring every inch of everything, it still took a while, but I started being able to figure shit out for myself finally. This game did have the Outlast effect, though, on 2 parts. The first part was the part on the MS Curie, with all the blue assholes. Okay, by the way, just so it doesn't get confusing anymore, I'm not going to refer to only those creatures as the assholes and other creatures as the cocksuckers anymore, just so that way it's not confusing, because when I say those words now, I'm not specifically referring to them anymore. But the Outlast effect was there, and it was also in that one part, the last enemy, the one in that hallway in Phi, that one also had the Outlast effect. It was very difficult to get past that son of a bitch. I made it, I got there, but it was very difficult to get past it. It honestly was. So Outlast effect in 2 parts. And then, aside from that, honestly, as far as I can think of, those are my only real negatives. The story is totally sci-fi. It's fantastic. The plausible realism thing, I'm not going to knock against this game. I think this game would have honestly been better if it took place in the year 3104 rather than 2104, because that would have made a whole lot more fucking sense to me. But, what can you do? Now, the overall plot though, dude, the comet hitting the Earth, fucking all life to hell. Pathos 2 is the only one left alive. And I'm not gonna sit there and blame it the lore for the fact that you don't actually know what's gonna happen with the Ark aside from just cruising around wherever it does in space. I mean, what was it? I think it was Newton's first law, I think, that it'll just keep on going unless something else stops it, and I doubt something else is going to stop it anytime soon, so it's going to keep going for a long time. I think that was Newton's first law. And then, it's never, there doesn't seem to be any sort of clear goal for what happens to the Ark after that. My honest assumption is that humanity straight up is just supposed to live on as conscience plural, whatever that word would be, in the Ark for thousands of years. I think that was straight up the plan. Because otherwise, I feel like they would have had some sort of plan to land on, I don't know, Mars or whatever the fucking planet. No, I do. This game honestly had a very, very interesting story. You know, there's actually a good and a bad here too, as far as the horror atmosphere goes, because it's weird. So the horror part of this game has a fantastic, a fucking superlative fucking story. The narrative is well done. It gives you just enough so you know what the fuck's going on. This game is very well done. That's all I gotta say. It's very, very well done. Kudos to you, Frictional Games. Holy shit. And the horror was done just right. Like there's actually a significant part of this game. Honestly, pretty much everything in between the beginning and then the Curie, and then between the Curie and the place where you were those weird gray thingies that go like when those things first started coming out. Everything in between that is honestly not really a horror vibe. But that didn't even matter though, because the story and narrative was still so rich. Now the only issue that I have with it, and for the most part, they play off well of each other. Where you got some horror stuff, which you would expect from a fucking place like this. Well, I mean Pathos 2. I don't know if it's still Pathos 2, but from a fucking place like this. And then you know, based on the actual narrative, which is so well done. This game was so well. I can't stress enough how well done this game's story was. But there was one point. It was at the end during Phi, where it was honestly more towards the end. It was at the place, the second location of Outlast Effect, where the thing was at Phi, and it's also at the ocean floor. The part where like you have to follow the blue lights and all that in order to get the towel after the climber. Those parts were meant to be horror, and I will admit that ocean floor part was the first time a game was actually made me feel uncomfortable. I actually stopped playing the game for how uncomfortable it made me feel, but it created a sort of dissonance within itself. Here's what I mean by that. Towards the end of the game specifically, not gonna lie, I got invested in the story. And going, you know, through all that you go through, and then finally getting to Tau, and then finally to launch the Ark. I really wanted to get to that point, because I really wanted to, you know, see what happened next. And to see how much of my predictions were true, and all that deal. But then there were horror elements of it, like the ocean floor, like the last guy with the Outlast Effect on the Phi, where it took me a long time to get past it, to the point where like I actually stopped enjoying the horror atmosphere because I just wanted to get to the rest of the story. So I mean, this isn't necessarily a problem with the game, but it's just an issue for me personally, is that the horror was so well done in some respects towards the end. Although I don't consider the Outlast Effect to be well done. I consider that to be kind of a bad thing, but I'll use the ocean floor more so as an example. The ocean floor was so well done in the horror aspect of it that it actually took down the narrative part of it, because it prevents you from continuing on with that aspect of the game, which actually made me enjoy that horror aspect of it less. Like, the horror was so good that it made it feel bad because the narrative is so good that I wanted to continue on with it, and the horror wasn't letting me do that. You see, I don't know if I'm explaining that properly, but like, the game almost created, it was so good in both categories that it almost created a dissonance, which is really weird to explain, but yeah. Let's see, do I have any other I really don't have like any other complaints, and I'm not really going to talk about anything else because everything else I've already pretty much talked about in detail. I mean, my thoughts on consciousness itself, my thoughts on most of the shit in this game, how it rolls. I mean, I've already pretty much talked about everything that's necessary, so I think this is pretty much it for the review, unless there's more, because I'm going to continue here, so like, unless there's more to do with the review, that's pretty much the end of it, because I feel like talking about anything else would pretty much be redundant. Yeah. Just know, if I come up with anything, you know, what I'll do is I'll give myself, I'm going to count to 60, and then if I think of anything else, I'll add it in like a post-narration commentary sort of thing while I'm editing. Or I'll just put it on text, as text on screen. I'm going to give myself about a minute though to do that. If I don't come up with anything, then I'll just cut that minute out of the footage and you won't even notice it anyway, except for a cut. So I'll do that now. As a matter of fact, I do. So, the first thing I would like to do is I would like to expand upon the interactions between Catherine and Simon. So I mentioned during the play that Simon was needlessly mean to Catherine because she didn't do anything against him. Well, there are things that I've noticed during editing that bring me against that conclusion. One thing about Catherine that's been said again and again and again is that she's not easy to get along with, she's kind of antisocial. Well, one thing that I noticed when I was upon editing this is that there are two things she does. Now, first off, her whole being in this game is to get the ARC mission complete, and also her antisocial personality. So there are two parts to that. One is that I think I mentioned this during the initial review, but she only ever almost talks about the mission, and that's it, with the exception of that one part in the climber. But here's another part of it too. Whenever she gets into a situation that she doesn't like, she just shuts herself off in the Omni tool. So being in the Omni tool is actually a good thing for her in that regard. Here's another thing though, and I didn't notice this until editing, is that she's a manipulator. She straight up manipulates Simon in order to accomplish her mission. Because there are things that Simon would definitely not approve of that that she basically lies to him about in order to get him to do it anyway. And there are two major examples of this. Exhibit number 1 is when he goes from his regular suit to the power suit. He asks her point blank, this is basically just going to be a transfer of the mind, right? She says yes, and proceeds with it. Once it's done, he says, what the fuck? And she says, you know, it doesn't work as a transfer, it works as a copy. Well, she had just said that it worked as a goddamn transfer. Now, the way I read into that is straight up manipulation. And if that's not a blatant enough example, here's another example. Here's another example. Catherine knows damn well that Simon... I'll touch on this in a minute with Simon, because right now I'm talking about Catherine, but she knows damn well that Simon wants to / believes he is a human still. I'll touch on Simon in a minute. And towards the end, when they're going to be going on the Ark, he believes that he is going on the Ark, which he is, so to speak. His copy is. His copy of a copy, his facsimile of a facsimile. But he believes that, I'm gonna refer to these guys as Simon 1, Simon 2, Simon 3, and Simon 4. Simon 1 is the one from the beginning of the game. Simon 2 is the one you play most of the game. Simon 3 is the power suit. Simon 4 is the one on the Ark. So Simon 3 believes that he's going to be in the Ark, which he is, but he is as Simon 4. But Simon believes that Simon 3 is going to be one of the Ark. Catherine knows damn well that Simon 3 is not going to be in the Ark, but she manipulates him anyway. Like, he's asking her stuff, talking to her about shit, and she blatantly, she doesn't say anything, but he'll be like, oh man, like, Simon, he doesn't say this verbatim, of course, but the concept is, Simon 3, am going to the Ark, right, Catherine? And she'll just be like, not really answering him. So, those two things, like, she's a manipulator. My point here is that she is not as innocent as I initially believed her to be. And if that's how she was when she was alive too, then I don't know, that's kind of a side of her that I don't really like. Okay, here's the thing about Catherine is that, like, I get people with, like, anxiety issues or, like, antisocial behavior, so, like, I get Catherine to an extent, but that manipulation shit I can't get behind. Now here's one thing about Simon too. I don't remember if I touched upon this in the initial review or not. Simon wants to. He believes that he is the real Simon. He cannot wrap his head around the fact that he is not the real Simon. Like, it's the difference between accepting and understanding. He understands that he is not the real Simon. He understands that the real Simon died in Toronto in 2015, but he cannot accept it. He could not accept it. It was even shown to him. It was shown to him when he was Simon 2, when the copy happened with Simon 3, that he can only be copied. And it's not a coin flip, it's just a different version of the same person, because of the consciousness. Now, based on that, as I said before, Catherine manipulates him later on towards the Ark and Phi. Catherine should not have been able to, whatever, she shouldn't have been able to manipulate him, because Simon was just too obstinate about himself being the true Simon. Simon 3 about being Simon 1. He was too obstinate about it. He really was. Had he not been so obstinate about it, he would have been like, wait a minute, last time when we went to this last suit, Simon 2, to the power suit, Simon 3, it was a copy. So what about now, right? He kind of let himself get manipulated by Catherine, by his own obstinance, honestly. And yes, I said obstinance, not abstinence, two different things. But, like, I don't know, it's like, they play off each other very well like that. And now as far as Catherine and Simon go, their interactions, that's pretty much it. As far as expanding goes, I've pretty much said my piece now. She's a manipulator. I didn't realize it before, but she is. But she's only able to manipulate Simon because he refuses, he just cannot grasp the concept that he is a consciousness now. He wants to be human so badly, and he just can't wrap his head around it. Which brings me to point number 2, because there are two things. One is that I wanted to expand upon that, which I just did, between Catherine and Simon. Here's another thing. The second category, I'm going to say mind over body. As I said during a video, well, I put it in there in editing, which is that I view the body as being more important than the mind. And I view it that way to an extent because of artificial intelligence, because the fact that you can be on a dating website talking to a bot and potentially never even know it, right? Whereas if you're talking to a person, a body, then you know it's a person, right? Now, granted, that's still not foolproof, but like, to me, consciousness in itself is not humanity. That's just my thing. And I understand Catherine's ploy now, which is the fact that, human consciousness is living on, therefore humanity is living on. And I'm not gonna lie, this game has made me think about that a lot more, about consciousness versus mind, or mind versus body. And there's an argument to be made the other way too, because you can also say that if you were to copy somebody's consciousness, then someone's personality, right? Like, wouldn't that be the same thing? So here's the deal. I guess it kind of depends on whether or not you believe in a soul. So I don't know when we're talking about this, but I don't believe in a soul per se. But I do believe in the body, like as like the vessel for humanity. Now, see, this is difficult because like the mind. See, and that's okay. The mind versus the body is like the whole thing that this game's trying to get across. Because Simon's whole thing is like the body, and Catherine's whole thing is the mind. That's why Simon can't get across the fact that he's not Simon, because he can only think of the body, whereas Catherine only thinks of the mind. Like, it really is it's a beautiful fucking narrative. It really is. And like, it's so complex. So like, I can't even, you know what? I can't do it off the cuff like this. If I were to talk about this, it would have to be scripted. I don't script myself. If I were to talk about this, it'd have to be scripted. I'm not scripted. So just know that there's a huge, huge narrative of mind versus body in this game that I can't even begin to go through the whole thing for, because that's a discussion. It's a discussion that could last for hours. No hyperbole, hours. And this review isn't going to be hours. So I guess I can't really touch upon it, but just know that I have a greater concept and notion for mind versus body that this game goes over than it did before, right? Now, if you believe in more so of consciousness, if you actually get into this game's narrative, and which I did. There's only one aspect of it that I didn't understand, and that's environmental storytelling. Because this game is environmental storytelling, and I didn't understand that until I started editing it. Now, so minus the environmental storytelling though, I was in depth in the story. But I view it as a body thing for humanity. Although, you know, honestly, I don't even know if I do anymore at this point, because I've been thinking about this a lot since I finished the game. Well, not like constantly, but no, but like the thought enters my mind every now and then. But at least while I was playing the game, I viewed the body over the mind. And so questions like whether or not you should kill Simon too were easy for me because of that. Now, if I valued consciousness over body, dude, some of these decisions would have been far more difficult for me to make. And that's the whole point of this game, this whole narrative. Like, dude, this game is straight up the best. I've already given this game so much praise, but this game is the best science fiction story I've ever experienced. Straight up. Tell you what, if like Netflix or HBO made a show about this game, I would watch it in a heartbeat. Coincidentally, there's actually a sort of live-acted thing on it called Transmission, I think, SOMA Transmissions, that cover events before everything went to shit with the WoW. So there's that too. But that's neither here nor there. But anyway, so that's what I wanted to talk about, to kind of cut in here. So the Simon and Jarrett thing, the Catherine and Jarrett thing, and then also the mind versus body. I've said my piece for the Simon and Catherine thing, the mind and the body thing. I've said my piece as far as I can, but to have an in-depth discussion of that would need hours and hours and hours, and it would just be extremely philosophical, which would be interesting as hell, but I'm not going to do it. At least not without help, and I'm not going to get help. So, there we go. Back to the rest of the review. Well, actually, I'll do it in a minute. Just know that this is honestly one of the best games I've ever played, straight up. I actually have my own list of best games I've ever played. Number 1 is Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Number 2 is Metal Gear Solid for PS1. Number 3 is Resident Evil 2 OG, not the new one. And there's some other ones on there, like Gears of War is on that list. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic is on it. Life is Strange is on it. Although Life is Strange is pretty low on it. And if you want to know more about the reason why it's kind of low on it, then watch the finale for my second playthrough. I explain it there in the review for that game. But yeah, honestly, I would feel comfortable putting, I don't know where I'd put it yet, but I might actually, I feel comfortable putting this game on the list of best games I've ever played. Because this game was fucking superlative in every fucking way. You know, okay, here's the thing. I was gonna do this game anyway. Now, Max told me what a good fucking game this is. I'm like, you know what? This is a good fucking game. It's a good fucking game. He did not oversell this game at all. He didn't do it at all. But yeah, just know that I love this fucking game. Oh, you know what? No, there is one more thing. I don't even need to do the post-narration thing for this. There is more thing. The relationship between Simon and Catherine. Now, I'm not going to go through this in detail because I've already gone over it a lot, specifically when they switched power suits and when they were on the climber. But dude, like, both of them have a similar thing where they're both like the only people who are down here. Why that Linwell was down here technically, but I don't really count her. But like they were both down here. Like they both kind of had a common purpose that they both wanted to get the fuck out of here. But like they both also had reasons to kind of resent each other, because Catherine had her kind of antisocial thing and her apathy, which Simon just couldn't get along with, because Simon seems to be very compassionate about a number of things, and she isn't at all. So that created some tension between the two. And then there's also Simon's tension, where the shit that she doesn't like about him, which is where, because of his compassionate things, he can't understand the fact that you get copied from one thing to the next, and then there's a coin flip. He just couldn't understand that. That's why he got so pissed off with the power suit thing. And he just happened to have the luck of the coin. Although realistically speaking, like, he could have easily not had the roll of the coin, and the game just gives me the new perspective. It wouldn't have made a fucking difference. And truth be told, actually, Simon might not have made the coin flip the first time around for the power suit, because he still had all the memories he had before, and then the other guy was asleep. So, like, technically speaking, past the power suit, that could have very well been a third Simon. You know what I'm saying? But I just gotta praise, again, the dynamic between Simon and Catherine. It was so fucking good. Speaking of Life is Strange, that game has a good narrative too, an emotional story, but like all we just mentioned here because it pertains to it. The big downfall with that game, why it falls so low in the favorite games, is because the relationship between Chloe and Max. They do not have a good... the game does not build upon the relationship in a good way. This game builds upon Catherine and Simon in a very good way. Now, do they actually like have character development with one another? No, they don't. Here's the thing though, is that they don't need to in the context of the story. Because, let's be honest here, Catherine, it doesn't actually talk to Simon that much, only when she's in the computer thing in an Omni tool. And when they do talk to each other, most of the time it's about the objective at hand, launching the Ark. What little time they do spend actually talking, just about regular shit, like in the climber, for instance, and in the power suit thing, what really happens is they kind of notice just how much they don't get along. Like they only really got along because of the shared objective they had. If it weren't for that shared objective, honestly, I think Simon would have just been just like everybody else, where he didn't fucking like Catherine. Because they did not get along at all, like really. But I don't mind that, because but you don't have to have characters having a good relationship with each other for it to be a good relationship, if that makes any sense. That's what I was gonna say, dude. I fucking love the dynamic between Simon and Catherine. It's all good. That's all I'll say about it. But that's another praise I have for this fucking game. I love their fucking dynamic. This is one of the best games I've ever played. And there we go. That's where I'll leave the review for now. Now, what the fuck else can I do here? Wait, can I do anything else here? Oh, there we go.
Is this... Did it work?
Oh! This is the post-credit scene. It's done in gameplay. Oh shit. Okay, you know, one of my things here is that I was gonna say that, like, speaking of the power suit thing, like how it didn't matter even if it was a third Simon per se. I was gonna mention, I didn't mention it. I was gonna say that I felt like they weren't gonna show the Arc version of Simon because it didn't really matter. So okay, so there is a post-credit scene, but it takes place in gameplay. So this Simon just, see, that's what I'm saying. This Simon just thinks that he ended up making it. Yo, so this is the Arc then. So yep, so this Simon, dude, this is such a, so the other Simon is still just fucked. And this Simon doesn't know the other, he doesn't even know that because he didn't think about the whole thing about it just being a copy and losing the flip of the coin. So this Simon isn't even aware the other Simon is fucked down there. He thinks this is just it and that he made it. Oh my god, speaking of great narrative, dude. Let's go, man. Let's get on the Arc. This is the fucking Arc. By the way, I forgot to give myself that minute of time, so if I managed to fit in the post-commentary narrative stuff in there, if I thought of anything else, I did. If I didn't, I didn't. It's whatevs. But dude, it's so nice to be in an environment that isn't a fucking underground research facility underwater. It's so fucking nice. This is incongruous as hell. This technology is incongruous as hell with the rest of this environment. Welcome, if you were reading this, you've successfully entered the Arc. This survey is designed to give, oh, the survey again. How would you describe your physical condition? I feel fucking normal. How would you describe your mental condition? Feel fucking normal. Normal as expected. Pleasant as fuck. Fuck it. Yeah, here's the thing I said, okay, the reason why I'm taking this quiz a third time is because this quiz actually fundamentally changes the way you think about this game based on what you've played already. So, like, dude, it's such a clever fucking game, dude. And this environment is fucking beautiful, dude. I love environments like this, man. Where's everybody else at? There's more people around here. Where's everybody else? Where's Catherine? Where's anybody? I want to meet Catherine. I want to meet her lover. And I want to see if Simon can get a lover too.
Catherine?
Fucking A. Fucking Catherine.
I can't believe we actually
She opened her
made
arms
it.
for a hug.
Well, we did.
I'm so relieved.
Yo, I want to see her. What the fuck?
It's okay, Simon. Everything's all right now.
I wanted to actually see her. What the fuck, man? What a dick tease. I don't mean sexually. I just, you know, I wanted to fucking see her as a fucking person. I've only seen her as a goddamn fucking consciousness. Or as a robot at the beginning. I wanted to fucking see her. What the fuck? I'm glad though that I don't know, the first thing they do is they hug. And I know they hug too because she opened her arms. Dude. Here's, like I said earlier, I wonder how this is gonna play out though. And that's the Arc. I wonder how this is gonna play out though. Cause like I said, I don't think they would get along in person without the objective. Now they don't have an objective, so will they still get along? You know what? There was a way they could still get along from their shared experience on getting this Arc out of the way. they could still potentially get along through that. That's it, man. Yo, so you get the good ending and bad ending as one ending. Fuck. Is this it? Yep, the arc just flies away. I gotta say though, game, you could have had more of just a still image of some shit. Like you could have actually had stuff moving around maybe. Well, actually no, then there wouldn't have been dust particles in space. Fuck. And now it's just Catherine's face. Once again, I don't have anything really more to say. Once again, such a good fucking game. Dude, like, if I had to rate this fucking game, I'd give it a fucking... I'd give it a 9.5 out of 10. The reason I'd give it, and the reason why, 0.3% is lost because of the learning curve it takes to get used to finding the most minute shit in order to get forward. And the last point comes from the Outlast effect shit. The last 2 points. So I'll give this a 9.5 out of 10 if anything. I don't usually rate games when I do a review. I rated a few of them with an actual letter grade. I don't care to do that anymore though. I don't really care for it. But this game is so fucking good that I just felt like it had to be done, at least on a 1 to 10 scale. Because this game was fucking phenomenal. Like, you know, fuck 9.5. Let's go 9.8. Fuck 9. Let's go 9.8, man. 0.1 lost, or 0.01 I guess lost from the Outlast effect. The other one lost because of the learning curve. 9.8 out of 10, easy. This game was fucking fantastic. One of the best I've ever played in my fucking life. SOMA, I fucking salute you. Fucking A. Next game I intend on doing is Amnesia: The Dark Descent, which is another game by Frictional Games. I just gotta say, I have high hopes. I have high hopes. But now this game has set a fucking bar. I really fucking hope that Amnesia: Dark Descent can deliver on such a good fucking experience as this one was. Because this was a good fucking experience. Alright. Well. Anyway. That's it. This is it for this fucking masterpiece that is SOMA. This is it for this thing. SOMA, you were a great experience. That's all I gotta say. Fantastic, fucking superb, superlative, ineffable. However the fuck, whatever fucking good term you can use, I can use nothing but good terms to describe this fucking game. And when I say this fucking game, I don't mean as in this fucking game's a piece of shit. I mean as in like this fucking game, man. How the fuck can you make a fucking game this fucking good? That's the fuck I mean by it. And yes, I have to emphasize as much as I am, this is a good fucking game. Well, once again though, like I said, that's it for this fucking masterpiece of a game. This is me signing off of this game. Until the next one, Amnesia: The Dark Descent. Goodbye. It's been a wonderful fucking ride.